He who seeks to control fate shall never find peace. This is the theme of the third Mortis episode, and perhaps the most relevant to The Last Jedi. Titled Ghosts of Mortis, this episode explores the theme of knowing the future and trying to control it, which is a theme found all over the main saga. While Ahsoka fixes their ship so they can leave Mortis, Anakin goes to meet with the father, unconvinced the son can be contained without Anakin's help. The father is busy burying his daughter and lamenting the path he took that caused her death, which visually reminds me of Padme's death and what that meant to Anakin.
Forgive me, daughter. I am an old fool who believed he could control the future. Now, you are gone, and all is lost.
Anakin learns from the father that the son seeks to escape Mortis and sow terror across the universe, and that so long as Anakin remains, the son will use him for his benefit. The father takes responsibility for all that has happened and tells Anakin that there is only one way to stop the son.
I must kill him.
Anakin converses with Qui-Gon's spirit, in which Qui-Gon reconfirms his belief that Anakin will eventually save the universe. I believe that this universe-saving moment isn't the one in Return of the Jedi, but is going to be the result of whatever Rey and Ben end up doing in Episode 9. Qui-Gon directs Anakin to the wellspring of the dark side, a place where all that is dark in the universe is channeled on Mortis. The son shows up there to tempt Anakin to his side, where he reminds us a bit more of Supreme Leader Snoke.
There is no use for such crude implements here.
The son then shows Anakin a vision of his future, which is extremely important within the context of the main saga. And upon seeing this vision, Anakin immediately falls to the dark side and joins the son, hoping they can work together to change that future.
Know yourself.
Know what you will become.
I will not look!
The Force is strong with you.
Anakin, please!
You were my brother, Anakin!
Powerful Sith you will be.
I hate you! No! No!
Not only does this echo the reason for Anakin's turn to the dark side by trying to change the outcome of Padme's death, it also links up directly with Ben Solo as well. Rey tells Luke in The Last Jedi that his mistake was believing Ben's choice was already made, which is very similar to the situation that causes Anakin to join the son in the Mortis episodes. And we know now that Luke sensed darkness in Ben, and when he looked inside his mind, it was something far beyond what he ever imagined. The sounds Luke heard of dying students could have either been a future he directly created by giving into his fear, or they could have been false visions implanted by Snoke to try and complete Ben's fall. For all we know, those visions weren't even of the future, they were of the past, when Anakin slaughtered everyone in the Jedi Temple. We still don't know what Ben Solo means when he asks his grandfather's mask to show him again the power of the darkness. This is why I still think there was one puzzle piece missing with Ben Solo's fall. Snoke had to have something with which to start corrupting him before Luke made that gigantic mistake. And I think that what Snoke used is directly related to whatever Kylo sees or experiences when communing with Darth Vader's helmet. The way that Ben Solo speaks and his motivations, they all seem very much like ideas the son was trying to get Anakin on board with.
I will do such terrible things. Yes. But it doesn't have to be that way. The choice is still yours to make. How? The future, by its nature, can be changed. Join me, and together we will destroy this Emperor you see in your visions. Then we shall end war, corruption, and suffering throughout the galaxy. Will we bring peace? Of course.
Since I believe that Ben Solo and Rey are Anakin and Padme reborn, I think that the visions they have are a mix of both their past lives and the future, and that not understanding these visions gives people like Snoke a way to manipulate them. This thematically fits with how the son uses a vision of the future as his primary tool of turning Anakin, just like Palpatine later did. Why should we believe that Snoke did anything different? Later on, the father meets again with Anakin and gets him to come back to his senses.
If there is to be balance, what you have seen must be forgotten.
All it took for Anakin to come back to the good side was forgetting that his destiny was something set in stone and beyond his control. Seeing it as a certainty is what caused him to try and change fate. Meanwhile, the son goes and retrieves the dagger from his sister's grave, where we learn that even the darkest of villains in Star Wars probably had someone they truly cared about at some point.
It's ironic, my sister. You were the only one I truly loved.
Anakin wakes up at the Father's monastery, where we learn that showing people their future is something the Father considers a major rule break.
What happened?
My son broke the laws of time and showed you what you should never have seen.
The Father's only way of stopping the son from escaping Mortis is to steal the dagger and stab himself, where we learn that these mythological families, like the Skywalkers, are deeply connected.
You and I are tied together, and your strength runs through me. This way, I take your power.
With the son's power weakened, Anakin is able to kill him by stabbing him through the back with his lightsaber. This whole ending, in which the father dies and becomes one with the Force after sacrificing himself, seems to me to be a metaphor foreshadowing how Anakin defeats the Emperor in Return of the Jedi. However, this entire Mortis scenario is constrained by the fact that in Anakin's world, his mother is already dead and Padme will die as well, so it's not the complete picture of the endgame. But through the missing components, we can see why Rey and Ben are the balance that Anakin brought. Together they can bring a lasting peace to the Star Wars galaxy and end the wars once and for all. The son couldn't be contained because his power outgrew the father's, so the father's method of acting like a tyrant wasn't a permanent solution. If the father had had a mother figure there so that the son could have grown up into a healthier individual, he would have been able to contain himself rather than the father having to do it. That is the ideal we should strive toward in our world. Individuals need to be emotionally balanced enough to contain and control their own dark sides. If they are not, and those dark sides take over the individual, then pain and suffering will follow. Furthermore, the future question is one that perhaps we should never know. If you were to know your fate, would you live every moment the same, or would you deny it and fight to change it? That question comes down to the balance within the individual. What Ben Solo must learn in Episode 9 is that trying to constantly force the universe to adhere to his vision of fate rather than accepting that he cannot control everything will only bring him pain and suffering. I suspect there are quite a few more pieces of the mystery box surrounding who Rey is and why Ben Solo fell to the dark side that have been saved for the endgame of this story. With all that said, there is one last aspect of this arc that I want to mention. There was a deleted scene in which the son communes with Darth Revan and Darth Bane.
Who are you? You must answer me this time.
We are those who have come before. Those who were betrayed. Those who hate. We are the wielders of the dark side.
What do you want from me?
We stand before you, disciples of the dark side, intent on its supremacy. It has been foreseen that one lives who will control the universe.
Where?
It is unknown, but know this. The Chosen One is the key. He who controls Skywalker will control everything. We tell you this to guarantee your success.
And if I fail?
I believe this deleted scene reveals a bit too much about the sequel trilogy. Who is the one that lives that will control the universe at this point in the story, of which Skywalker is the key? You may think it's Palpatine. After all, he manipulates Anakin and gains political control over the galaxy. But that's not controlling the universe to me. It's not cosmic enough in proportion. The only other answer I can come up with is Padme, who has now been reborn as Rey. Why? Well, let me once again mention the Sanskrit mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. This translates roughly to the jewel in the lotus, which has sexual connotations as well when thought of as male and female. Another way of linguistically expressing that idea is speaking in terms of keys and locks, which throughout storytelling has also been thought of sexually at times. So really it's just a symbolic representation that both sexes are necessary to create children, while acknowledging that women have the more difficult role regarding childbirth. And as we all know, the power to create life is a huge theme in Star Wars. Furthermore, Padme means lotus, which is also what the Ren in Knights of Ren means. Rey is rapidly unlocking powers and discovering her potential. The lotus is often the symbol of love and the universe in general, so we can just as well refer to the Knights of Ren as the Knights of Padme or Knights of the Lotus, which is just as good at thinking of Star Wars as a fairy tale as anything else. By the end of Episode 9, Rey will have had a moment that demonstrates she ultimately controlled the fate of the universe. In fact, if you watch her key decisions so far, she's already done that. My friend has pointed out that had Rey not viewed BB-8 with compassion in The Force Awakens, then Starkiller would have toasted Luke Skywalker and the galaxy would have lost all its hope. But with that said, that's it for this video. If you enjoy this kind of content, consider supporting me on Patreon, or just like, comment, subscribe, or share this video. As always, thank you for watching.